Mozambique, where the country's Renamo opposition party has announced a ceasefire, extending a 2-month-old truce. Party leader Afonso Dhlakama says the ceasefire will allow dialogue with President Filipe Nyusi's government and help to reduce civilian deaths. Rights groups estimate dozens of people were killed last year in counterattacks between Renamo fighters and government forces. The violence has revived the possibility of a civil war, similar to the one that ended more than 20 years ago. President Nyusi has welcomed the truce, describing it as productive. Right, for more on that, I'm joined now by CGTN's Farai Mwakutoya. He's in Harare. Farai, Zimbabwe recently deployed troops on the border with Mozambique over security concerns. How has the news of the latest truce been received there, though?
Well, Beatrice, this is certainly welcome news for Zimbabwe, a country that has keen interest in developments in Mozambique, not just because of being neighbors, but because Zimbabwe was actively involved in that civil war that you talked about earlier, through its military forces, helping to secure the peace deal and bringing peace to Mozambique. So Zimbabwe keenly interested in that. And obviously, you know, a large number of Mozambicans fleeing some of the violence over the last year have come into Zimbabwe and are now being housed here in Zimbabwe. The border towns of Zimbabwe, you know, were also anxious and fearful that these clashes, or should things degenerate or escalate further, could spill over to them. So clearly something of great concern, clearly something that Zimbabwe continues to keep a very close eye on, but this truce, a very welcome development. Beatrice.
Well, Farai, we are receiving reports that the opposition leader Afonso Dhlakama remains in hiding. While several ceasefires have collapsed since 2014, what are the stickling issues, though, in the current crisis?
Well, it all goes back to 2014 and the outcome of that election. The opposition, Renamo, has disputed the outcome. It says that the election wasn't free and fair. The opposition is also calling for more representation in government. It wants more governor seats, for instance. It accuses officials of the ruling Renamo party of enriching themselves and at the expense of the entire country of Mozambique. Now, a process to try and resolve the disputes had kicked off last year, but was stalled again because of an issue that came up. One of the chief negotiators on the Renamo side was murdered, and so that was another issue that then created even more tensions and even more divisions. But certainly those are the key issues, and hopefully with this truce now being extended, a resolution can be found.
Well, the recent ceasefire, though, Farai, was announced in the absence of international mediators. Is there a role, though, for these international mediators? What is the role?
Well, certainly, according to the reports, you know, this agreement was brokered after direct talks between, you know, President Nyusi and the opposition leader, Afonso Dhlakama. But going forward, certainly there will be a role for, you know, international mediators. There still remains, despite, you know, securing and extending this peace deal, there still remains a large air of distrust between these two parties, the two rival parties, because of this history that they have of rivalry. And so there might be a requirement, and certainly likely to be a requirement, of international mediators to come in to find the common ground, to build the momentum that has been created here, and to secure a long-term, you know, peace in this country that has, you know, been growing rapidly on the back of the peace that was, you know, secured in 1992, and wouldn't want to be dragged back into another civil war and a crisis of that nature. Beatrice.
Farai Mwakutoya for us there in Harare, Zimbabwe.